The time is 2:47 a.m. local. The Strait of Hormuz, 21 nautical miles northeast of the Musandam Peninsula, where the Persian Gulf pinches to its narrowest point, just 21 nautical miles of navigable water between Iran and Oman, one of the most strategically critical choke points on the planet. Roughly 20% of the world's oil transits through here every day, which makes it either the world's most important shipping lane or the world's most densely monitored body of water, depending on your perspective. The USS Laboon, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, DDG-58, is currently making that perspective very clear. Laboon is not here by accident. She has been assigned escort duty to Kuwaiti oil tankers transiting north to south through the strait. And for the past 6 hours, the watch has been about as exciting as watching paint dry in a sauna. The Gulf heat, even at 2:47 a.m., is oppressive, the kind of wet, suffocating warmth that makes a sailor quietly question every life decision that led them to this patch of water at this hour. In the Combat Information Center, the overnight watch team is managing organized boredom. The large screen displays glow blue with dozens of surface contacts, tankers, dhows, fishing boats, logged and categorized by the Aegis system with the tireless indifference of software that never needs a break. The officer of the deck has finished his third cup of coffee since midnight. It is not good coffee. It hasn't been good coffee since they left Bahrain 4 days ago. He has stopped expecting it to improve. On the bridge, a boatswain's mate is filling out valve inspection logs. The kind of administrative reality that recruiting posters never mention. At 2:48 a.m., the engineering officer of the watch delivers news that briefly makes the valve logs seem appealing. The port shaft has developed an anomalous vibration in the aft seal housing. Standard procedure. Nothing catastrophic. But standard procedure means taking the port shaft offline, dropping Laboon to trail shaft operations on the starboard side alone, and accepting a temporary reduction to approximately 3 knots while the engineering team inspects. In the open ocean, 3 knots is an inconvenience. In the Strait of Hormuz, 21 nautical miles wide, northeast current pushing at 2 knots, geography on all sides, 3 knots of available propulsion gives you maybe 4 miles of maneuvering space before the coastline starts making decisions for you. Engineering estimates 90 minutes to full inspection and clearance. Nobody panics. This is routine. The officer of the deck logs it and informs the tactical action officer. The TIO nods and goes back to his coffee. 412 nautical miles to the northwest, at a Revolutionary Guard Naval Command facility near Bandar Abbas, someone has just noticed the USS Laboon is doing 3 knots through the strait's narrowest passage. They have been waiting for exactly this. The IRGCN commander had been building his picture for 3 days. Not through dramatic intelligence operations, through the patient work of coastal observation posts, shore-based radar, and 2 vessels catalogued as fishing boats that had shadowed the Laboon's escort formation since she entered monitored waters east of Abu Musa Island. 3 days of watching. And now, at 2:48 a.m., the picture had delivered something unexpected. An American guided missile destroyer making 3 knots through a choke point that geography had already half immobilized. The IRGCN swarming doctrine, developed over 2 decades of watching American carrier strike groups transit the Gulf, and concluding that the only viable asymmetric response to a billion-dollar warship is 100 simultaneous small problems rather than one large one, called for exactly this scenario. A slow-moving combatant in confined waters, limited maneuverability, the psychological compression of being surrounded by fast, aggressive contacts from multiple vectors at once. The plan was logical. 15 fast attack craft from 3 coastal positions, armed with rocket-propelled grenades, heavy machine guns, and 2 boats carrying C-802 derivative anti-ship missiles on improvised launcher configurations, would surge simultaneously and converge from a 57-degree arc. The choke point would restrict Laboon's escape geometry. The pre-dawn darkness would complicate visual threat assessment. The volume of simultaneous contacts would overwhelm the watch team's decision cycle. In theory, at 2:51 a.m., the commander gave the order. 15 engines roared to life. He genuinely believed this was going to work. He had not done the math. Here is the math. The USS Laboon's AN/SPY 1DV radar can simultaneously track more than 100 surface contacts, several dozen airborne contacts, and incoming ballistic missiles at ranges exceeding 200 nautical miles. It updates its complete picture approximately every 4 seconds. It does not blink. It does not fatigue at 2:51 a.m. in the morning. And it does not drink old coffee while wondering if it should have taken the shore billet in Naples. The SPS-67 surface search radar had been tracking those fishing vessels for 72 hours. Not because anyone was particularly worried. The Gulf is full of small craft, but because the Aegis system tracks everything it can see and assigns threat assessments to everything it tracks. The fishing vessels had track numbers. They had been in the picture for 3 days. At 2:51 a.m., as 15 IRGCN fast attack craft accelerated away from 3 coastal positions, the Laboon's combat system registered 17 new surface contacts. Not 15, 17. Because 2 coastal observation posts had activated maritime surveillance radar to support the operation, and their emissions were now being cataloged by the AN/SLQ-32V3 electronic warfare suite with the meticulous enthusiasm of a specialist who has been handed an unexpected case study. The tactical action officer looked at the display. "Officer of the deck," he said, with the flat professional calm of a man describing a weather front rather than the opening move of an engagement. "We have multiple small surface contacts, fast movers, bearing 017 through 074, closing at approximately 42 knots. 17 contacts. Classification: probable IRGCN fast attack, swarm formation." The officer of the deck acknowledged this with the same inflection he had used an hour earlier to report a floating cargo pallet off the port bow. "Log it," he said. "Get the XO up." He did not put down his coffee. The IRGCN fast attack inventory deserves a fair introduction, because the swarming concept is not without genuine logic. The Thandar-class and Pekap-class fast attack boats sustain 40 to 55 knots in calm water. They are agile, extremely numerous, somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 in the fleet. And the doctrine they embody has been wargamed seriously by every major naval power's analytical division. Overwhelming a larger warship's decision-making cycle with simultaneous challenges from multiple vectors, exploiting the gap between detection and weapons release authorization, using geography to remove maneuver options. The concept is sound. The plan at 2:51 a.m. on this particular morning was running into problems. The northeast swell had been running at a moderate height for 2 days. Not dangerous, not the kind of sea state that puts a small craft at risk, but enough to make a 40-knot transit in a 20-meter vessel feel like sitting inside a tumble dryer. Several boats were already throttling back to 30 to 35 knots by the time they cleared coastal radar clutter. The 2 boats carrying the C-802 derivative missile systems, arrangements involving truck-launched missile hardware mounted into boat cargo areas with launcher brackets that were, by any engineering assessment, more optimistic than structurally rigorous, were running at 22 to 25 knots because the guidance components were sensitive to shock loading and the 2-meter swell had not consulted the fabrication timeline. The second problem was communications. The IRGCN uses Iranian military encrypted systems for primary command and control, supplemented by commercial encrypted radios that are theoretically secure. Theoretically is carrying an enormous load in that sentence. The commercial encryption used by approximately 1/3 of the swarm was a system NATO-affiliated intelligence services had characterized 14 months prior. It was not unknown to the AN/SLQ-32 suite aboard USS Laboon. By 2:52 a.m., the ship was reading IRGCN boat-to-boat communications on 3 channels with the comfortable fluency of a native speaker reading a newspaper. The executive officer arrived in CIC, still pulling on his jacket, took in the picture in approximately 3 seconds. "Are they really using the commercial radios?" he asked. The electronic warfare officer looked up. He was smiling, the specific smile of a man who has been handed something valuable and unexpected at 2:52 a.m. in the morning. "Sir," he said, "one of their boat commanders just reported his navigation radar is showing double images. He thinks the display unit is overheating. He's asking formation lead whether he should abort." The executive officer considered this for a moment. What did formation lead say? He told him to continue and stop complaining. A pause. "Log everything," the executive officer said, with the quiet certainty of a man who knows he is watching something that will interest a great many people in Bahrain later today. Every frequency, every emission, every transmission. Complete package. The electronic warfare officer had not stopped smiling since the contacts appeared. It was, objectively, the best night of his deployment. Let's discuss what the Laboon sensor suite was actually doing while 17 somewhat swell-affected fast attack boats churned toward her at declining average speeds. The AN/SLQ-32, VE-3, the Slick 32 in crew shorthand, passively intercepts, identifies, and geolocates radar and communications emissions across a broad frequency range, comparing everything against the threat library and flagging anything new or anomalous. It feeds this data to the ship's combat system and, through Link 16, to every U.S. asset within data link range. At this moment, that network included a P-8A Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar at 25,000 feet, an E-2D Advanced Hawkeye circling at altitude 180 miles south, and the intelligence architecture behind U.S. Naval Forces Central Command in Bahrain. The tactical picture was shared in real time across the entire network. Every radar emission from the 17 contacts was being fingerprinted. Frequency, pulse repetition interval, scan rate, antenna rotation pattern, all compared against the existing threat library. 14 of 17 matched known signatures with high confidence. 3 did not match exactly, indicating equipment upgrades or previously unobserved platforms. Those anomalous signatures were flagged immediately for threat library update. At 2:53 a.m., the 2 missile-carrying boats activated their seeker heads in what appeared to be a pre-launch test cycle. From an electronic intelligence standpoint, this was an exceptionally generous gift. The SLQ-32 captured seeker frequency, pulse parameters, waveform characteristics, and what analysis would later confirm as a modified guidance mode variant, differing meaningfully from the known C802 baseline signature. Consistent with an Iranian upgrade program that intelligence analysts had been trying to characterize for 8 months through fragmentary collection and inference. They were about to receive a complete characterization from 1,100 yards. The P-8A adjusted its collection geometry. The E-2D updated coordinates to the network. The picture was getting richer every 90 seconds. The adversary believed they were approaching an inconvenienced warship. They were funding a graduate seminar in their own capabilities at no charge to the United States. In CIC, the Tactical Action Officer was working his options. And this is where people who haven't spent time in naval operations tend to project a cinematic simplicity that doesn't match procedural reality. 15-plus IRGCN fast attack craft in the Strait of Hormuz is not, by itself, a defined hostile act. The Gulf runs thick with IRGCN provocations on a semi-regular basis. Standing rules of engagement require a defined hostile act or demonstrated hostile intent before weapons release authority is established. Assessment takes time. The procedures exist for good reasons on both strategic and legal grounds, and the United States Navy has thought carefully about both. At 2:54 a.m., the swarm was closing at 35 to 38 knots average across its 57-degree arc. Minimum safe engagement distance was approximately 11 minutes away. He had options: SM-2 Standard missiles, magazine full, surface and air engagement capability out to 90 nautical miles. 2 Mark 45 5-inch guns, fore and aft, each capable of placing a 70-pound projectile on a small surface target at ranges well beyond the current contact distance. 2 Phalanx CIWS systems, 4,500 rounds per minute of automated close-in terminal defense. A SH-60B, Seahawk on the helipad, crew strapped in, blades folded but ready. The Aegis system had calculated in passing 43 different engagement solutions. The helicopter was worth less than a new SM-2. The TIO was not planning to use an SM-2. He looked at the formation geometry again. The swarm's approach had drifted from its planned structure. The inner wave was converging roughly on schedule. The outer waves had lost coherence. 2 contacts on the southern arc had fallen nearly 600 yards back from their expected positions, almost certainly from the swell and the overheating radar problem. The missile boats had self-sorted to the trailing outer edge of the formation, the least exposed geometrical position, which was definitively not where they were supposed to be. The planned encirclement was becoming a ragged funnel. OOD, the TIO said. Come to 015. Hold what you have on the starboard shaft. I want to reposition across their T. The officer of the deck carried out the order without comment. Laboon began a slow, deliberate turn. 3 knots, a turning circle you could fit in a marina parking lot, repositioning to present her bow to the narrowest apex of the swarm's approach geometry. Bow on, the encirclement geometry was removed. Bow on, her radar cross-section was minimized. Bow on, her forward 5-inch mount pointed directly down the approach axis. A calculation every IRGCN boat commander with a functional radar display could make for himself. The IRGCN formation lead had not built a contingency for the target maneuvering. She was supposed to be stuck at 3 knots in a straight line. She was still at 3 knots. The straight line was now pointing at them. At 2:56 a.m., 2 Mark 45 warning rounds left the forward mount, aimed at water 500 yards ahead of the lead contact, each producing a displaced water column roughly 40 feet high, and a report that carries with remarkable clarity across open water in pre-dawn conditions. A 5-inch gun in the dark is not subtle. It communicates without ambiguity that the terms of the engagement have been revised. The lead boat throttled back. Others followed. The formation slowed, stalled, and began that specific milling motion that boats adopt when their commanders are having urgent conversations about what to do next. The SH-60B lifted off the helipad at 2:57 a.m., climbed to 800 feet, and established an orbit giving its sensor operator a complete overhead picture of the stalled formation. From 800 feet with FLIR running, 17 IRGCN fast attack boats spread across a half-mile arc looked less like an aggressive tactical formation and more like a diagram in a tactics textbook. Every vessel visible, every vector apparent. The 2 missile boats on the outer edge were clearly distinguishable by their modified thermal and radar signature. The helicopter's AN/APS 147 radar fed its picture directly to CIC. The sensor operator noted several inner boats had reduced to idle. One contact had turned completely around and was heading northwest at 8 knots. No weapons had been activated. The C-802 seekers that had broadcast so helpfully for 30 seconds had gone cold. At 2:59 a.m., a transmission on one of the readable channels was processed. The electronic warfare officer turned to the executive officer. "Sir, Boat 7 is reporting his radio is getting worse. The radar is still double imaging, and he's requesting permission to return to port." A pause. What did formation lead say? "Formation lead is not responding, sir. I think his primary radio may be having similar issues." The executive officer looked at the plot. 17 contacts, stopped or slow, 1,100 yards off the bow. The Laboon, bow on, all systems nominal. 90 minutes of engineering work proceeding undisturbed 2 decks below, entirely untouched by events above. "Keep logging," he said. The log was already 4,000 entries long. What followed was not a dramatic engagement, nor a clean, organized withdrawal. It was something more honest. A gradual, somewhat independent dispersal over 23 minutes, as individual IRGCN boat commanders worked through their own situational assessments and arrived at similar conclusions by slightly different routes. The lead boat turned west at 3:01 a.m. 3 more followed within 90 seconds. The missile boats, still on the outer edge, turned south and began retracing their approach at a speed suggesting they were no longer in a particular hurry. Several inner boats loitered 5 minutes before following. By 3:24 a.m. local, the last IRGCN contact had cleared Laboon's threat radius. The helicopter recovered at 3:31 a.m. Engineering reported the port shaft inspection complete at 3:41 a.m. A worn seal ring within acceptable operating parameters. Recommend replacement at next port visit. No operational restriction. Laboon came to 18 knots, reoriented to the tanker's course, and resumed the escort geometry she had maintained for 6 hours. Total duration from first contact to all clear, 53 minutes. On the weather deck, as dawn was beginning to gray the eastern horizon, a boatswain's mate who had come topside for air after finishing the valve inspection logs watched the last running lights of the departing IRGCN boats fade northwest. He watched them for a moment with the measured expression of a man genuinely uncertain whether what he just witnessed qualifies as eventful by the standards of this deployment. Then he raised one hand in a slow, relaxed wave. Not a military gesture, the kind of unhurried, almost fond wave you give to tourists on a harbor cruise passing a marina. Casual, warm even, completely insulting in context. Then he went back below. The logs would not file themselves. Now let's address what the United States Navy actually collected in those 53 minutes, because this section almost certainly did not appear in the after-action report traveling from the IRGCN commander's desk to Tehran. The SLQ-32 electromagnetic package produced 17 complete radar fingerprints, full signature profiles for every vessel in the formation. 14 matched existing threat library entries with high confidence, confirming vessel class and equipment load. 3 were modified or new signatures representing previously uncharacterized configurations. Those 3 were uploaded to the Fleet Threat Library within 2 hours and distributed via Link 16 to every U.S. naval asset in 5th Fleet's area of operations before morning watch ended. Every Arleigh Burke in the Gulf now knew those 3 boats on site. The communications intercept covered 47 minutes of continuous boat-to-boat traffic across 6 frequency bands, including 2 bands not previously associated with this unit's operating profile. The readable commercial channel traffic disclosed the complete planned approach, geometry and phasing, the vessel identification of the formation lead, the grid reference of the coastal observation post coordinating the operation, and technical status reports confirming at least 4 boats had experienced equipment degradation during the approach that materially affected their navigation and radar performance. The C-802 derivative seeker characterization was the intelligence highlight of the operation. The modified guidance mode captured during the 2:53 a.m. test activation confirmed an Iranian upgrade program that had been assessed as probable but unconfirmed for 8 months. The seeker frequency, waveform, and pulse parameters provided characterization at a level of detail that conventional collection had not produced despite sustained effort. This was assessed as high-priority strategic intelligence and routed appropriately. The IRGCN had planned and conducted a complex multi-element operation designed to project force against a temporarily slowed American destroyer in a strategic choke point. What they had actually done was volunteer for the most comprehensive intelligence collection event their unit had provided in recent memory, at no cost to the United States. Somewhere in the Fifth Fleet intelligence architecture, an analyst who had been patiently trying to fill this threat profile for 8 months was having the most productive morning of her career. She had not slept. She did not plan to for several more hours. She had stopped noticing. The port shaft seal ring was replaced during a port call to Manama Naval Support Activity 4 days later. 3 hours to fix. Longer to document. The officer of the deck's incident report ran to 11 pages. He had estimated 7. The XO returned it twice. The tactical action officer's contribution was notably more concise. 4 pages of precise narration that read, between every line, like a man who wanted to be accurate, but also convey that the outcome had not been in meaningful doubt at any point. After 2:51 a.m., the modified C-802 Seeker update propagated through the Fleet Threat Library within 36 hours. The 3 new radar signatures were entered and classified. The communications frequency profiles were updated. Every Aegis warship in the region woke up the next morning knowing more about this particular IRGCN unit than it had known the night before. The IRGCN unit woke up knowing nothing new about the United States Navy. That asymmetry repeats every time the engagement happens. The U.S. learns. The adversary pays tuition with every emission, every transmission, every radar activation that someone on the other end is writing down. They do not receive a certificate of completion. The 2 Kuwaiti tankers arrived at their destination on schedule. Their crews were, in all probability, entirely unaware that anything had occurred. By breakfast, they were in open water. Total ordnance expended, 2 Mark 45 5-inch warning rounds, approximately $1,200 each. Total munitions expenditure, $2,400. Against that figure, an intelligence package that conventional collection methods had not produced in 8 months of effort. The financial logic of the evening does not favor the side that initiated it. By 7:30 a.m., Iranian state media had the story. Their version differed from the above in several points worth examining for the quality of the creative ambition involved. In the Iranian account, a deterrence patrol formation of IRGCN vessels had conducted a decisive defensive operation in Iranian strategic waters. The American warship, identified vaguely, despite Laboon's hull number being legible at 900 yards with the naked eye, had been compelled to alter course under IRGCN pressure. The 2 warning rounds from the Mark 45 were reframed as evidence of American desperation and agitation. The formation's subsequent dispersal was not mentioned. The equipment failures aboard at least 4 boats were not mentioned. The 47 minutes of intercepted communications were absolutely not mentioned, for reasons understandable, if also somewhat futile, since the interception had already occurred before the first boat turned around. Footage accompanied the broadcast. Fast attack boats at speed, spray flying, the general visual grammar of naval action. The footage appeared, to the practiced eye, to have been filmed during daylight hours, in calmer sea conditions than the Strait had been running at 2:51 a.m., with boats showing no evidence of having recently returned from a high-speed approach in a 2-meter swell. The IRGCN will try something like this again. The doctrine requires it. The Strait of Hormuz is too important, and asymmetric pressure operations too central to their strategic logic for a single unsuccessful morning to change the calculus permanently. When they do, the U.S. will know them a little better than it did before. The IRGCN will not know the U.S. any better at all. Iranian state media will run that footage for a week. Dramatic music, fast boats, the general impression of IRGCN assertiveness. The reality that the evening produced a comprehensive intelligence windfall for the ship that was nominally the target will not appear in the broadcast. The 2 warning rounds that ended the operation will not appear. The electronic warfare officer's expression when he realized the commercial encryption was fully readable will not appear, and the wave, casual, almost fond, from a boatswain's mate who still had maintenance logs to file, will absolutely not appear. But somewhere in the ship's deck log camera archive, the tape exists. It tells the whole story. Bye for now.